I accidentally overheard my parents decided to leave everything to my brother. That was before Mom texted me, "Don't call" or "Don't come." It's over between us. I stared at the screen, set my tea down, and typed 2 words. Got it. The house was quiet, but my head rang like a fire alarm. If you've ever been erased by your own family, you know that silence can be the loudest thing in the room. By morning, my phone would explode with missed calls and pleas, but the night before, that's when I chose peace over permission. Keep watching. When people ask what my family was like, I usually smile and say, normal, because from the outside, we looked it. Dad owned 5 restaurants across Portland Hayes, family dining, painted in big gold letters on every sign. Mom handled the books, Jason handled the charm, and I handled being invisible. Our Christmas cards looked perfect. Matching sweaters, fake laughter, Mom's pearls catching the tree lights. What no one saw was what happened when the camera clicked off the silence, the hierarchy, the small reminders that I wasn't the chosen one. Dad used to say Jason's got business in his blood. You've got art. He said art like it was a virus. When I was 14, Jason got a brand new mountain bike. I got one from a garage sale spray painted blue to match his. At 17, he crashed his car while texting. Dad bought him another one within a week. When I got a parking ticket, I lost car privileges for a month. You'd think I'd stop caring, but I didn't. I kept trying. When I got into design school in Seattle, I came home waving the acceptance letter like it was oxygen. Dad barely looked at it. If you walk away from the restaurants, he said, you walk away from this family. Mom just stood there, her lips pressed tight, nodding behind him. Jason smirked like he'd just won something. Maybe he had. So I left. Waitressed at night, tutored design freshmen during the day, lived on instant noodles and caffeine. I sent postcards home every semester, no one ever wrote back. But I made it. Graduated with honors, came back to Portland, started small apartments, offices, restaurants. Funny enough, Dad's kind of places. By 33, I had clients who trusted my taste more than my own parents ever did. And still, when Mom got sick, I showed up. The treatments were brutal. Chemo-radiation specialists in San Francisco. Insurance barely touched it. I didn't even think twice, I just paid. Bills, flights, hotels. When she went into remission, she texted me, "Thank you for everything, sweetie." That was it. No call, no hug, just that text. A few years later, Jason called with his big idea, a food truck. 6 months in, it crashed harder than his first car. I sent him 25 grand to keep him out of bankruptcy, then another 15 to help Dad's restaurants when equipment broke. He bragged about restructuring the business, never once mentioned my money. It's strange the way love makes you keep writing checks long after the account's overdrawn. I kept telling myself I was helping the family, that maybe this time they'd finally see me. But family isn't built on transactions. It's built on respect. And in our house, that word didn't exist for me. So when Dad called for another family dinner to discuss business, I said yes. I thought maybe finally they'd ask for ideas, not money. Instead, that dinner became the night I realized the truth. And later, standing on those stairs, hearing my father say, "Everything goes to Jason." I understood something I'd ignored my whole life. I was never part of the legacy. I was just the funding. I wasn't supposed to be home that night. The plan was to grab takeout crash early and forget about the awkward family dinner from the week before, the one where Dad had asked for $50,000 like he was ordering dessert. But when I realized I'd left my old design portfolio in their attic sketches from college I needed for a presentation, I drove over. It was close to 7 p.m. The house glowed warm behind the curtains, the kind of light that used to mean safety. When I stepped inside, the smell of Mom's pot roast hit me first. For a second, it almost felt normal again. I set my keys down quietly, ready to call out, but then I heard my name, Dad's voice, low, firm. Jason's the only one who actually cares about this family. He's the future. She just goes about her life. Jason's laugh followed, easy and smug. So it settled. Then everything goes to me. Dad's reply cut through me like glass. Everything. The house, the restaurants, the accounts. She's had enough from us already. Mom hesitated. Her fork clinked against her plate. She did pay for my treatment, Stephen. Dad's tone hardened. That was her choice. You don't reward someone for doing what they should have done out of love. And then Jason chuckled again. Guess it's official. I'm the heir. I froze at the bottom of the stairs, heart thudding so hard it drowned out their voices. They were rewriting history, years of sacrifices turned into background noise. I wanted to step in to shout that I wasn't asking for an inheritance, just decency. But I couldn't move. The part that broke me wasn't Dad's words, it was Mom's silence. She didn't defend me, didn't even whisper a protest, just kept eating. I backed away slowly, afraid the creak of the floor would give me away. My fingers brushed the banister cold and smooth like it was watching too. By the time I reached the door, my chest felt hollow. Driving home, my mind kept replaying it like a broken reel. Dad's voice saying everything to Jason. Jason, laughing, Mom, staying quiet. When my phone buzzed that night, I thought it might be guilt. Maybe Mom reaching out realizing I'd overheard. Instead, her text lit the screen like a match. Don't call or don't come. It's over between us. No punctuation, no explanation, just finality. For a full minute, I stared at the message. Then I set my tea down, typed 2 words. Got it. I didn't cry, didn't throw the phone, didn't beg to understand. The clock ticked, the tea went cold, and the quiet of my apartment pressed in until it felt like a living thing. If you've ever had someone you love erase you with a single sentence, you know that pain doesn't explode, it seeps. It rewrites every memory one by one. That night, I sat in the dark, scrolling through every payment I'd made for them, hospital bills, credit cards, restaurant utilities. Every dollar was proof of how much I'd tried to belong, and as I looked at the list, I realized belonging had never been on offer. I didn't sleep that night. The city was quiet outside my window, a thin mist crawling over the streetlights. I sat at my kitchen table phone, face down, staring at nothing. The text kept echoing in my head. Don't call or don't come. It's over between us. You'd think that kind of message would shatter a person, but I didn't break. I froze, the kind of stillness that happens right before a storm changes direction. When the first light of dawn spilled across my counter, I opened my laptop. Emails, invoices, auto payments, line after line of reminders that I'd been financing the same people who'd just cut me off. Mom's prescriptions, Jason's business debts, 2 restaurant utility bills, insurance premiums, all set to renew automatically. Every line tied me to them like an invisible chain. I scrolled once more, then clicked cancel on the first one. Then the next, and the next. Each click sounded louder than the last, a quiet rebellion, a sound only I could hear. I opened another tab, checked my balance. Months of work, late nights, sleepless deadlines, all drained for their crises. I whispered to the empty room, not anymore. By mid-morning, I'd cut every connection, no payments, no safety net, no access. Then I opened the folder that still sat on my table, the business proposal I'd brought to that family dinner. The one they had dismissed, laughed at, ignored. I flipped through each page, cost analysis, renovation plans, new branding concepts. My work, my time, my mind. They'd called it a waste. So I decided to make it worth something. That afternoon, I called a contact from the hospitality conference I'd attended months ago, a project manager at Pacific Restaurant Group. Hey, I said, keeping my tone light. Remember that sustainability concept I mentioned? I've got a full proposal ready. Can we see it? He asked. Tomorrow, I said. I hung up and leaned back in my chair. For the first time in months, the air in my apartment felt clean. That evening, Jason's name flashed on my phone screen. Then Dad's. Then Mom's. I didn't answer. Not because I didn't care anymore, but because I finally did for myself. By midnight, I'd cleared the last trace of them from my finances. The only thing left was silence. And in that silence, something new began, a kind of calm I didn't recognize. The calm of someone who's finally stopped begging to be loved by the wrong people. They wanted it to be over between us. Fine. I was going to show them what over really looked like. The next morning, my phone exploded with missed calls and texts. 37 calls before 9 a.m. to be exact. Mom, Dad, Jason, unknown numbers. Voicemails stacked one after another, their voices overlapping like static. Char Dad's voice cracked halfway through my name before he hung up. Jason's message was shorter. You selfish brat, fix this. Mom's came last. Her tone was soft rehearsed. Sweetheart, please call us. This isn't like you. I muted the phone and went back to work. 3 design proposals due that week, 2 client meetings, and 1 very important email from Pacific Restaurant Group waiting in my inbox. When I opened it, my heart slowed. Subject: loved your concept. Can we meet tomorrow to discuss partnership? I smiled. They thought cutting me off would destroy me, but all it did was make room for something better. By noon, the calls turned desperate. Dad sent an email with the subject line, "Urgent, restore payments immediately." Jason texted, "You're ruining the restaurants." Then another, "You owe us Tina." I put the phone face down, poured coffee, and whispered, "I don't owe you anything." That evening, I left the office later than usual. The garage was half lit, a low hum of fluorescent light echoing off the concrete. As I reached my car, someone stepped out from the shadows. "Jason?" "Hey," he said, voice sharp, eyes glassy. "You've been ignoring us." "Busy," I replied. He stepped closer. "Turn the payments back on." "No." His face reddened. "You think you can just walk away? You think you're better than us?" I met his eyes. "No, Jason. I think I finally stopped pretending we're family." He clenched his jaw hand, twitching like he wanted to grab me. Before he could, footsteps echoed. Tom, one of my co-workers, appeared with 2 others. "Everything okay?" "Tina." Jason glanced at them, then back at me. "This isn't over." "Yes," I said quietly. "It is." He stormed off, muttering something about lawyers and betrayal, but the tremor in his voice told me he already knew he'd lost control. 3 days later, Madison showed up at my office. Her eyes were swollen, makeup smudged like she hadn't slept in days. "I'm sorry to come here," she said, holding a folder against her chest. "He doesn't know I'm here." I gestured for her to sit. "Jason." She nodded. "You need to see this." When she slid the folder across the desk, papers spilled out: receipts, bank statements, transaction summaries, restaurant funds wired to personal accounts, a Rolex purchase, Vegas trips, first-class flights to Miami, tens of thousands of dollars siphoned out of the restaurant's accounts over 3 years. I looked up. "You found this?" She nodded again. "I've been helping with bookkeeping since we got engaged. At first I thought the missing amounts were mistakes. But it's him. He's been stealing from your parents' business for years." She started crying. "I'm leaving him. I can't marry someone who steals from his own family." I leaned forward. "Madison, you just gave me exactly what I needed." The next afternoon, my phone buzzed again. "Dad, family meeting, tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Bridge Cafe downtown. No greeting, no question, just a demand." Perfect. Bridge Cafe smelled like burnt espresso and rain-soaked coats. They were already there when I arrived, Mom staring out the window, Dad sitting stiff, Jason scrolling his phone. When I approached the table, all 3 looked up in perfect unison like predators spotting prey. Dad spoke first. "Your childish tantrum is destroying the family business." I laughed softly. "Childish. You mean cutting off the money you used without asking Mom?" Reached for my hand. "Sweetheart, we can fix this. Just turn the payments back on." I pulled my hand away. "No." Jason leaned back, smirking. "She's bitter. Always has been." I opened my bag, pulled out a small stack of papers. "Funny. You might want to read these before calling me bitter." I laid Madison's folder on the table and slid it toward him. Receipts, bank transfers, every line item documented. Jason's smirk faltered. "What is this evidence?" I said. "Of how you've been stealing from the restaurants for 3 years. Dad snatched the papers. His face went pale, then red. "Where did you get this?" "From someone tired of cleaning up after him." Mom covered her mouth, whispering, "Jason." He shoved his chair back. "These are fake. She made them up." I leaned forward, voice calm. "I didn't make them up. Your fiancé gave them to me." His eyes widened. "Madison, she left you." I cut in. "Smart woman." For the first time, Dad looked lost. "Even if this is true," he said, voice trembling, "it's still family business." "Right," I said. "And family helps family, remember," Jason sneered. "You think you're better 'cause you make fancy houses for rich people?" No, I said, standing, because I build something real, something that lasts. I reached into my bag again and placed another folder on the table, the business proposal they'd called a waste of time. I sold this to Pacific Restaurant Group yesterday, I said. $500,000. Mom's fork slipped from her fingers. Jason stared at me like he couldn't process words. Dad's face drained completely of color. They loved it, I continued. Said it's exactly the eco-friendly design they wanted for all 40 of their restaurants. Looks like my useless degree finally paid off. Jason slammed his hand on the table. You stole our idea. No, I said, calm as ever. You rejected it. Big difference. Silence stretched. The clinking of dishes from the counter filled the air. I took a slow sip of my coffee. Let's see how your chosen son saves you now. Dad's voice came low, almost a growl. You'll regret this. Maybe I said gathering my things, but at least I'll regret it on my own terms. As I walked toward the door, Mom's voice followed, weak and trembling. Tina. Please, I turned just enough to meet her eyes. You told me not to call, not to come. Remember, her lips parted, but no sound came. Outside, rain had started to fall, light, steady cleansing. I stood under it for a moment, breathing in the air, letting the noise of the cafe fade behind me. For the first time in my life, I wasn't shaking. I wasn't scared. I was free. That night, I came home to quiet. No calls, no emails, no texts. I turned off the lights, poured a glass of wine, and opened my laptop. $500,000 sat in my account waiting. Not revenge money, not guilt money, just proof that I didn't need their permission to matter. For years, I'd been the one bailing them out. Now they'd have to learn how to survive without me. I closed my laptop, took a sip, and smiled to myself. Peace had a flavor. It tasted like freedom and Cabernet. 6 months passed before I heard anything. It was Aunt Patricia who finally called. Her voice carried that mix of pity and gossip only relatives can master. They lost everything, honey, she said. All 5 restaurants, gone. Bankruptcy filings, lawsuits, the works. Jason's facing charges embezzlement. Your father's working at a hardware store. Your mother, part-time at Macy's. I didn't say a word. Just looked out my office window at the city skyline, my team laughing in the next room. Patricia hesitated. They asked about you? I think they finally understand. I almost laughed. Maybe. But that understanding's too late. That night, I scrolled through my old messages. Mom's text still sat there glowing on the screen. Don't call or don't come. It's over between us. For the first time, I didn't feel pain reading it, just distance. I typed one last message, never sent it, just whispered it into the quiet. Got it. The next morning, I opened my studio early. The light poured in, clean and bright. The past felt smaller in that glow, like something I'd already outgrown. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud, it's peace. No yelling, no begging, no proving anymore. Just the quiet satisfaction of walking away and watching the truth do its work. If you've ever had to choose distance over damage, you know exactly what that feels like. Share your story in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for the next one. You're not alone.